All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. If you're watching this, we do this every other Thursday. And if you're watching later, then join us in the next Thursday. Rajiv ji is back. He's our immigration lawyer who gives us immigration advice. And we're going to start today with something very interesting, which I sent you, I think, yesterday for the Times of India article about F1 visa law change. I mean, they keep saying this, and so many students send me that people have made videos that this is like happening. So I'm like, it's not true. And that's why I sent you that. So that's why I want to start with that. Like, what do you think about that?
Okay, let's take a step back and understand the power of the local consulates to regulate their own business.
Mm,
While the laws are the same for all the consulates, local consulates in different countries can make their own rules for operation, as long as those rules don't conflict with the laws. Many years ago, I would say almost 15 years ago, it was a rule in India that if you apply for a tourist visa, you can't apply again for 6 months
mm,
unless your circumstances have changed drastically. So this appears to be. I haven't actually seen anything official yet, so I don't know. First of all, let's cap up the news. So the news is that if you have applied for a student visa and been denied, they will not entertain a student visa request for a certain period of time, which amounts to I think one
1 year.
academic session,
Yeah.
one academic.
Academic. Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
know
think
that.
so. That's what makes sense, but I could be wrong. I don't really know the details what they are planning. It used to be 6 months. I think 1 year is drastic
Yeah.
because we don't have a lot of information. For example, what if I change schools and go up with a different I-20?
Mm,
Okay, because what happens is, I believe that the nature of the school could affect your chances of getting a student visa. So if you're going to a reputable school, chances are you are a serious student.
mm,
But if you're going to a community college, nothing wrong about with community college, they dispense very good education, but they don't have the reputation of the top 10 schools or the top 20 or even the top 50 schools.
yeah.
So therefore, I think it is important to understand the nuances before we can make our decisions. If you look at the headline, Yudi, can you scroll up? Let's
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
the headline.
So many ads.
I don't want to see Steve Bannon. So you
Yeah.
see, USC Embassy plans changes in student visa application process. So,
Yeah.
and this is for 2022 summer.
Mhm.
We don't have any information. And I
Yeah.
do think that the more appropriate thing for the consulate would be to ask for public input before they put in the change.
Mm,
USCIS does that informally, even though they are not required to. And
mm,
I do think, let me segue into another area which is connected to this,
mm.
that all across the government is trying to upscale its Immigration Act. The first step of which is to eliminate backlogs.
Mm, mm.
And as a part of that process, as you and I were, I think, talking about it, they have implemented the premium processing for many other applications.
Yeah.
We talked about that briefly, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We made a video. Yeah.
Right. And also, a part of the same process, they have given their desired goals for
Hmm.
applications. All applications related to green cards and naturalization, adjudicate them within 6 months, all EADs within 90 days, which is what it used to be. 90 days used to be in the regulations.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of the same process. They're trying to eliminate redundancy. So today, I saw a release from the USCIS that says they are going to eliminate the unnecessary interviews for conditional green card removal. So when you get married and you've not been married for 2 years, when you get your green card, government gives you a conditional green card. After 2 years, you have to apply to remove the condition. So
Mm.
90 days before the second anniversary of your green card approval. And previously, it used to be that you will get interviewed personally no matter what. And today the government said, well, we're not going to interview you in cases that are obviously not necessary. If you have 4 children and you've been living together,
You're talking about
obviously,
this one? Implements risk-based approach?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the risk-based approach is a good approach. It
Mm.
creates efficiency where there is none right now. And I think part of it is also, remember, for employment based green cards, there used to be no personal interviews except in rare cases where either fraud was suspected or something needed to be investigated, or randomly picked cases just for quality assurance.
Mm.
So interview was very rare, and then came Trump. I think I want to say it was Trump administration that made it mandatory for every employment based green card to be interviewed. That was one way they created a wall, the wall of inefficiency against immigration approvals.
Mm.
So
I
I
like
think,
this one. It says non-citizen who obtains less than 2 years. So this is new. I thought this was always
no,
there.
no. What is new is that they will not interview everyone.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, because, for example, look at your case,
Yeah, yeah.
not to get personal, you know, um, 3 car garage, dog, living together, no questions. Why should you be interviewed? It's
Right.
just a waste of the government's time and yours. You know what it does?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It adds a year to your process.
Yeah, yeah. So right. So they are saying like he's less risky.
Yep.
So let's
Yep.
skip him and just
What they'll create is, excuse me, they'll create a rule based engine
mm,
which will look for certain indications of risk. And if you meet those risk assessments,
mm,
they'll I think they'll have a process to double check it manually. They might, and they
mm,
should.
mm.
But the bottom line is they're not going to interview everybody blindly. That's a
Yeah,
waste of
yeah, yeah. Waste of money, waste of time. So all of that. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Stop sharing. All right. Cool. Somebody asked this question. So again, just to wrap up the topic, Times of India came up with this article. There's no official news, nothing yet announced by government. So we'll have to
Right.
wait until that happens.
Yuri, hang on. Let me grab some water. I'll be
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Right. Somebody. Thank you, Manan, for congratulating me. We made it to 180. Keep supporting. All right. So once Rajiv ji comes back, we will do the Q&A. Start. You can start asking your questions, and I'll have them ready. Thank you, Akhil. Yeah.
Yudi,
Mm,
I have received questions from two people today about working without authorization on their student status
mm.
and what are the implications. Do we have time to talk about that for a couple of
Yeah.
minutes?
Let's do that first. Yeah.
Okay. So these gentlemen wanted an appointment. I have no time coming week for personal appointments. I am in the middle of a couple of things. The
Hmm.
week following would be better. So, in any case, let's talk about the situation
And
where
what's
a
the
student
question?
where a student works without authorization, either because they have no choice, they need the money to support their school, or because they did it inadvertently by mistake. So these are two different circumstances.
Yeah.
If you worked without authorization on purpose, it is important to understand the implications. One is your violation of status,
Mm,
which is much easier to fix. And the other one is if you lie about it in any immigration proceeding. Okay. The first one, let's say you are close to getting an H1b and you have 3 months or 6 months or even a year of working without authorization. Worst case scenario, you'll have to go outside for H1 visa stamping. You will not get your change of status. But make sure there is no history of misrepresenting your work status to the government.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
So that's very important because the moment you prevaricate, you lie about your situation to gain an immigration benefit, you have committed a felony, which is
Felony.
punishable
Yeah.
by 5 years usually, and two, it is a permanent bar from entering the US. You can never come back.
Mm,
And the only one waiver is available, which is very difficult to get. Okay. So make sure you understand the implication of lying about what you did and actually doing it. Doing it may be a lesser problem than lying about it.
right. And then there's the other factor to it, like I'm lying. How are they gonna catch me? Right. That
Yeah,
there's
see, that's one thing I never actually like to answer because it annoys the heck out of me. Why is it important for you to know that? Isn't it important that you did it?
right.
Why is it important that will I get caught? It doesn't really matter. Assume that you will be caught. Somewhere along the line, you will be caught. Assume that.
Yeah.
Okay. You cannot be lying and perpetuating that lie all the way to the end of your green card or even naturalization. Remember, you can be denaturalized. You can even take away your green card. Because if you have made a material misrepresentation anytime in your past, the government can go after you. They
Mm,
may not have the resources or the willingness to do so, but theoretically they can. Why would you want to do things like that?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So lying about work authorization or working without authorization is much worse than actually doing it. Don't do it, it violates your status.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's one part where you did it deliberately. Now, how about where you did it inadvertently? I had a
Mm,
question again today. I've been inundated by these employment authorization questions on my LinkedIn. So I got a lot of people who were stuck with the situation, didn't know how to deal with it. I think it's when they're filing the H1b application. That's what
yeah.
happened. That's
Yeah.
why they are asking me. Now I understand. Why I was wondering why they are asking me.
Yeah.
So if you do it inadvertently, 10 days you worked without authorization, not realizing you don't have the authorization. I think I actually even remember the dates, April 15th to 25th of some year. So in
Mm,
any case, that is a very small violation. The government might ignore it and let it go, and they do that. That's called de minimis. D-E, and the second word is minimis, M-I-N-I-M-I-S. That is just
mm,
a fancy way of saying, guys, let it go, be chill. It's just a small thing. Okay.
yeah.
We don't say be chill,
So,
we just say
and
be
is that different than misdemeanor?
no, that's very different. De minimis simply means it's a minimal problem. It's
Mm,
actually an expression, I believe, from French. I could be wrong,
mm,
but or Latin. But basically, the idea is just because we are lawyers, we want to be graceful and we want to be elegant. We don't want to say just chill, chill, dude. We don't want to say that. We just say it's a de minimis violation. So the
mm,
point is, if you have violated the law inadvertently, unknowingly, by mistake, you have several options. First of all, disclose it when you file the H1B. And if you have fallen out of status because of that, talk with your DSO and act upon their advice. They might tell you to apply for reinstatement, which should be readily given because it's such a small thing.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we stand. They were asking me, and I said, I don't have time to talk with everybody individually.
Yeah.
And I try not to charge students who are not working. Students who are
Yes.
working should pay for my time. But students who are not working, I don't want to charge them.
Mm,
So these guys are not yet working, and I would feel horrible
mm,
charging them. But at the same time, I don't have time to talk with everybody individually.
yeah.
You know how
And
many questions I answer in a day? Close to
all,
100.
yeah. 100. I believe you. I
Yeah.
believe you. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for even addressing this. I'm guessing a lot of students are probably in that same spot. Okay, let's this we have about 166 people, so let's answer those questions. I sure people are asking questions. Can I declare the funds from my sibling who's working on H1B? What are the chances of getting accepted, rejected for F1 visa?
I do not understand that question. Can I declare the funds? So if your brother or sister is getting paid, can you make that money your own? Yeah, if they lend it to
No,
you,
I think he's asking his brother is sponsoring his F1 visa. He's the sponsorer or funding his education
yeah,
for
they can fund it. Why not? My brothers funded my education when I came to the United States on a
and
student visa. So
right.
yeah,
I
definitely.
think there's a norm, like people think that if you declare that you have a relative or friend in USA, then your F1 will get, you know, potential immigrant, intent of immigrant because your family
By
is
the
all.
way, when I came to the United States, not only did I have two brothers who were US citizens and my mom and dad who were green card holders. My green card was already pending.
Mm, Mm.
So I still got the student visa because I convinced the consulate that there was absolutely no reason for me to violate the laws. So it isn't so much what your situation you think is, it is more important that you be a genuine person. Chances
Mm.
are better you will get your visa. Of course, you can fool people some of the time, but it's much, much more important to be honest, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes. Okay. How long is the list for Pakistanis for green card and getting H1b status?
H1B is no different for anybody from anywhere in the world, but uh, being a Pakistan born, assuming Pakistani citizen, your green card weight is very small, almost zero. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you have no waiting. See, if you look at it, you the way the visa bulletin is structured, you have some countries that are named India, China, Philippines,
Yeah.
Mexico, but
Yeah.
many countries are not named. They are called all other countries. So all other countries where Pakistan belongs are current. And I wrote an article, a small comment on this.
Mm.
If you want, you can Google my name. Rajiv is spelled with a J-I-V. Rajiv S. Khanna, 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 if you're
Mm.
American. A- and Economic Times. So Rajiv S. Khanna, Economic Times. You'll
Yeah.
come to my author page. I have an article there which talks about applying for a green card while you are still on student visa. For example, OPT. It can work for people who are born in countries other than the countries where there's a backlog, and Pakistan is one of those countries. By all means, look into applying for a green card directly. I'm actually applying for a Turkish citizen right now, Turkish born citizen who didn't get through the H1B. I'm applying a national interest waiver for him. That's a green card, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to make it within a year. So yeah, plus
Mm.
because he's very well qualified and the project is beautiful.
Okay. Cool. Is it possible to apply for H1B to F1 status change after an approval I-140?
So Rakhi, for it's interesting, right? That once you have applied for an I-140, you have technically exhibited immigrant intent, and the government can say,
Mm.
well, you can't have immigrant intent on student visas. But it depends upon the case that you are at. So if you are a young person, for example, you are over 21, and you got stuck with a situation where mom and dad don't have green cards yet, something is pending, and you have to change to student status, it happens all the time. The government has been quite willing to accommodate what they call the legal dreamers. So that's one example. And I am the other example. When I came to the country, I had a green card pending. So, implications, you may have to work extra hard and hope for the best, but they can deny it because you have exhibited immigrant intent.
Mm.
Okay. And by the way, here's a strong case. Let's say you're working on an H1B and you get admitted to Wharton or Darden or one of these schools where MBA is very prestigious. Now, here's a good case for conversion to F1 because
Mm.
it will jumpstart your career into a totally different trajectory. And even the government understands that. They might be more willing to approve your F1.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, that's probably the case because I was like, why would you want to do from H1 to F1?
Oh, she's
H4
smart.
to F1.
She knows what she's doing.
Safe, yeah.
Not
Yes.
everybody is a dummy like me, man. I had no idea what.
And me. Yeah. All right. I just want to address this. We did talk about this. Just go to the beginning of the stream
Yeah.
and you should be able to see it.
Yeah. To summarize, we don't have the details yet. Let's see how they implement it.
Yeah. All right. Good question. Can the interview consulate selected at the beginning of form DS-160 be different from the while the interview appointment?
I know this that you can go to any consulate in India. That's the rule in India. But can you do it after you file the DS 160? I do not know. Email the consulate. They actually respond to questions like this. At the most, they might say, no, no, you cannot, and you have to appear at the consulate that they gave you. But I think you should be able to go anywhere. That's my guess.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we did talk about this again. Everybody, please stop asking me the same thing. We talked about this F1 visa news. Go in the beginning of the stream. First 4 or 5 minutes is we are
Yeah.
addressing this. So
Yeah. But
uh,
again, the summary is we don't yet know all the details. We'll see how it goes.
yeah. Right. If employer file green card on F1 without H1b, if not picked in 3 years, then when we file day one CPT, is there any approval of CPT because perm already in process?
No, because see, perm is not a green card. Technically, your green card begins at the I-140 filing stage. And
Mm.
even then, I don't think there's any question on the forms, on the student visa forms for. Actually, there might be. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. So let's rephrase that to say your green card does not begin until I-140 is filed. Perm is not green card technically,
Mm.
because the question on the form I-539, which you will file for conversion to student status, will say, um, and this is an extension, or he's going back to H1B. So Weber, the question on the form I-539 is, have you or has anybody applied for an immigrant visa for you? An immigrant visa is form I-140. In my view, before I-140, perm is not a green card. It is not an immigrant visa application. So the answer to that question would be no.
Mm. Mm.
Hey, I like this, able to read this. It's so much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drake, I'm an Indian, but I was born in Saudi. You wrote to me already, and I actually responded to you. Uh,
Sometimes they just want to hear you.
I guess so. So you know what? It's oh, I'm sorry. No, this is a different question. That question was about green card, I think. For citizenship, Drake, it makes no difference where you were born.
Mm.
Once you get your green card, you become like everybody else, like the rest of us sheep. We are all in the same boat. Okay.
Cool. Can I show 100% funds to visa officer using student loans?
Again, I check with your DSO. I don't see why not. That's your personal obligation. You have the money. Why not?
Yeah.
But your DSO can guide you better than I can. They do it for a living.
Okay. Can we initiate H1b transfer? Why when we travel to India for H1b stamping? Ooh.
You can. You can. It's you have to be careful. Talk to your lawyers. Arrange it. There are a couple of variables. Whether you are in the USA when the transfer is filed and when you're outside the USA. So talk with your lawyers. Make sure they understand what you're doing. Time it well, and also remember that visa times in India are horrible right now.
Yeah. Uh, all right. Same
Yeah,
question.
we just discussed that. We might get back, if it is not clear, and if the situation becomes clear, Yudi, we can do a micro session. We can do a quick session and talk to everybody then.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Working as an employee but do not have bank statement to prove monthly income as it's a family business. Should I disclose salary in my DS 160 form?
You should always err on the side of too much disclosure rather than too little.
Hmm.
And if you're not violating tax laws and you're worried about that, if you're violating tax laws, don't stop whenever you discover it's a bad idea. And if you're not violating tax laws but you're paying taxes, why not disclose everything?
Okay. Any information for students who
Hang
get
on.
F?
Is there any possibility we can go back to the last question? I just thought of something. Can we scroll back by any chance?
Trying to. Do you remember the name?
No, I do
Oh, there
not.
we go. There we go.
On your DS 160. So what I'm concerned about is, are you getting paid in the United States?
I think he's applying from India.
Yeah, so that's what I don't understand. So that's the part I don't understand. If you're applying from India and doing DS 160, absolutely disclose. Why not? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. All right. Lost. Okay. Here we go. Any information for students who get F1 visa interview waived? Are students actually getting F1 visa by this method?
Okay, I am not 100% sure about that. Didn't they stop doing waivers except
Dropbox?
Dropbox? No, Dropbox is there,
Yeah.
but they were also doing waivers of personal. No, they're still doing waivers. So I just remembered because I was a little confused. Did they do away with that because there was some
They
noise
did.
about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
They're still doing it. So the idea there is this, Anirban. So the idea there is this, that if you have received any kind of visa, like a tourist visa,
Hmm.
and then you apply for a student visa, they'll waive the interview, personal interview, unless there is something they want to ask you. And this happens if you're applying from your home country and you have never had a visa denial. If you've had a visa denial, if it was overcome subsequently, you are fine. Okay.
Mm.
So those are two or three elements. The question is, are people getting waivers? The answer is yes.
Yes, yeah. Can a F1 visa holder enter a different
Yes.
state in the...
Yes.
Okay.
You party animal, you want to go to New York, chill out.
Can USCIS notify candidate for round one after March 31st, or does that rarely happen? And I should
Dekho,
wait.
abhi, the way this works, understand the process. So I hope I understand the process. Government is so opaque in what they do.
Uh,
So this is what we have figured out. What they do is when they start accepting applications for H1B, they anticipate a certain number. So let's say they are filling 60,000 or 65,000. They'll say, let's take 75,000 applications because historically we know 10,000 people will not apply or they'll get denied. Okay. So based upon that, they run the first round. But what happens is at the end of the first round adjudication, they say, oh, wait a minute. We've got 14,000 visas still left over. Let's
mm,
do a second lottery. Okay. So just applying common sense, you have 90 days to apply for your H1B. Okay. And they have a few weeks to look at your application. So you can kind of estimate about 4 or 5 months after April, maybe 6 months at the most, maybe sooner, a little bit, somewhere in that neighborhood, there could be a second lottery.
mm,
Last year, for the first time, there were two lotteries because the number of the applications received was progressively smaller than they expected in each round of the lottery.
mm,
So your question is, can USCIS notify candidate for round one after March 31st? They do. So what they will do is you will start getting notifications about the approval of the second round of lottery, and we also get public notice. We
mm.
get public notice that the second round is being conducted on this date, and we start looking at our accounts to make sure our clients have been selected or not. I hope that explains. I hope I answered your question, Abhi.
No, I think it does. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying yes, but because it makes sense to me.
I know. Can you explain about 220G issued for F1 and set to submit passport I-20 and service payment receipt on a particular date? So, Balu, 221G is sort of like, it could be anything from, to draw a parallel from just a cold to cancer. Okay. It depends upon what the difficulty of the situation is. Now, your case, if they're just asking for that information, it looks like a small case of passing cold, just the sniffles. So 221G basically says we don't have enough information on you. We need more information. That's what 221G says.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Okay. I'm
yes,
going.
sir.
I'm going for MS Fall 2022, and my sponsor is maternal uncle who's in Chicago, Illinois, and my college is in Illinois. So, does it create any problem? Will it
No,
get rejected?
no, yes, sir. I don't think that creates any problems. It's okay to have uncles.
All right. I'm on OPT. I got selected in H1B lottery. Currently, I'm working two jobs, as one as a part time, the same company which applied to my H1B, second company as a full time.
Okay. So I think there are two questions underneath that, which I'll answer, assuming that's what you're asking. So first of all, actually three questions. You can apply for H1B through either company, and you can continue working on your current status for multiple companies as long as your current status allows it. So for example, if you're on first year of OPT, it's okay to continue working on the first year of OPT till October 1st or whenever the decision is made. So I think Capcap also allows you to work for multiple companies. Double check that with your DSO. So if your current status allows you to work for multiple companies, you can continue to do so. That's the second aspect of the question. Until you actually get the change of status. When does the change of status occur? Never before October 1st. So even if you apply now, But in the second round of lottery, the change of status may be immediate because you don't
Mm.
have to wait 8 months. You're already in the fiscal year. So there's a, yeah, you're losing me, aren't you? I'll go back. I can see when you don't understand. Okay, so let's understand how the H1B process works. Okay, H1Bs become active only during the fiscal year that's coming up.
Mm.
Government's fiscal year begins on October 1st and ends on September 30th.
Mm.
When they approve your H1B, it can never be earlier than October 1st.
Correct. Yep.
You can apply 6 months ahead of time, that is April 1st.
Right.
Count back from October, it's April, 6 months. But it can never start before October 1st.
Mm.
So until you are actually converted to H1B, which will never be earlier than October 1st, you can continue working
Continue to
on work
time. Yeah.
authorization. Check with your DSO, make sure you can. I think you can. Now, that's one part. But what about the second round of lottery? What if it is, or third round? What if it is conducted in the middle of the fiscal year? What if it's conducted on October 3rd?
Mm. Mm.
It can be. That means your change of status will be immediate. Whenever your
Mm.
change of status is approved, it won't be 6 months in the future. Unless you ask for it, you can.
So you
It
have to
will be,
quit the other job, basically.
yeah. So you
Mm.
can, until your status changes to H1B, you are continuing your old status, except if you're on Capcap. Check with your DSO. Can Capcap people continue to work multiple jobs? I think they can. I don't see any issue with it, but it's always good to confirm.
Yep. Good. That was good, solid information. For CPD, generally students can enroll for full-time internship after 8 months. Is it possible to enroll for another full-time internship on CPD after first internship complete?
Okay, so this depends upon the school's rules.
Yeah.
Schools have certain latitude in what they want to allow their students to do and what they don't, except especially in terms of internship. I was the first time I encountered this issue, I actually had a conversation with the DSO. Just wanted to understand why they would have a policy where you don't allow somebody to volunteer their time.
Mm.
And they said, well, this is the reason. And they gave me a reason. It was a while back. And basically, the idea was we want to ensure the quality of the education and the quality of attention put in the education, which I thought was ridiculous because I can work 18 hours a day. I have no problem. But the school decides whether I can or cannot.
You're a different species.
No,
18
no, I like
hours.
it. I like what I do, so it's fun.
18 hours. So you're like sleeping for 6 hours and working 18 hours.
No, I sleep about 4 hours. That's all I need most days.
Wow. Nice. All right. Sorry, this question is repeated. Uh, I think they are putting like a lot of big comments and it's getting cropped.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We have to be more efficient, or there must be more of us. That's what I've decided.
It's more of us. Can you
She,
please help me with this question? I have my I-20 and I want to come to US on August 1st. My passport expires 2023. Renewal scheduled 2 weeks from now.
okay, so the question is, if my passport is expiring, you know what? I don't remember the
Oh,
rules.
I think the question is here. I just saw that. Should I have to wait until I get new passport to fill DS
Yeah,
160 or
I do not know the answer to that question. I think you can apply now and take in your new passport with you for the interview. But I'm going to give you stupid advice, which is contact the the consulate, and ask them what they suggest. I think you can go ahead and fill out your DS 160 with the old passport because the passport is a continuity. It isn't like you are acquiring a new document which wasn't there before. So it's a continuity. Therefore, having a new one on top of the old one should not be a hindrance. That's what I think.
yeah. Okay. Very good question this one. Will any minor spelling errors in the H1B selection notice impact the petition filing?
Okay, you need to give an explanation. So somebody asked me, and this is also on LinkedIn. Somebody had contacted me, and somebody had also left me a message on Instagram. I'm still figuring out what is a message, where does it come from, where does it go.
Yeah.
Third, man, it's the worst damn interface I've ever seen. Can't figure out where everything is. So
Yeah.
anyhow, I got the message 3 days later because I couldn't figure out where it was. Same idea. So the
Mm,
question was, in our electronic registration, my name was misspelled. Is
mm,
it going to be a problem on the H1B? And the answer is actually, if you go to the USCIS website, it tells you in their frequently asked questions, as long as you can explain what the problem is, you should be okay.
Mm.
So minor typographical errors should be forgiven.
Like company's name, like Google and
Company's
stuff.
name, your name, instead
Okay.
of Yudi, they
Or
call you Yoda.
yeah, or software engineer and they forgot like software. I guess if they
These
made
kinds of minor issues should be manageable, I think.
okay. Right. How easy or difficult is it to get an approval to convert your F2 visa to F1 traveling back to India and change status?
Well, her name is Tasneem. So, Tasneem, the way it works is, if you think about it, the grounds for F2 and F1 are quite similar. They have to be convinced that you're going to come back. The fact that you received your F2 speaks in your favor for getting an F1. Okay. One important question is, can you go to a third country? Do you have to go all the way to India? You could probably go to any country, because when they give you F2 visa, the basic criteria are the same. Are you an immigration risk? And they have already answered that question in the negative. How easy or difficult? I don't have a scale that I can tell you it's 7.9 Richter or it is 8.3 Richter. It's not really, there's no scale of difficulty. It's highly unique. But remember, you should be able to come back on F2 visa. They should not violate, or they should not void your F2 visa if you go apply for an F1. They can, but they should not.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. Chit Patel is asking, is there immigration petition filed by if my blood relative who's citizen of
Yeah,
USA?
I've given this example like almost 5 or 6 times already in our conversations. My nephew had a green card pending, and he's now in his second year of school. I actually had a conversation with him before he came in. So I explained to him, be honest, tell the truth, don't try to hide anything. You are a serious student, you have an excellent academic record. If you are not going to get a visa, I don't see who is.
Hmm. Kunal is asking, after change of status from H4 to F1, when traveling back to home country, do I still need to attend F1 interview
Well, because you've done H4 change of status, you don't have a visa. So, yes, you need to get a visa.
for stamping? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Next one. I guess that's the question which broke out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I want to apply F2 for wife who's in India. Are the interviews waived or not? Can I get slot for F2
Yeah.
easily?
To the best of my information, they are still waiving interviews if she has had a visa before. We already discussed that. So, if you rewind this conversation, we discussed it in detail. I don't know what the interview schedule there is. It's not good. I know that.
Mm. Right. Pranav is asking, my lawyers are applying for H1b with change of status. Once my petition is approved, say July, can I travel to India and come back to US, say September 20, using F1? Will change of status
Okay,
kick
I
in?
have a problem with that situation. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because are you maintaining F1 status when you come back? That's the real problem. Technically, you are not getting into H1B until October 1st, so you could travel and come back. Okay. But the problem is, to come back on F1, you must be maintaining F1 status. So if you are still on your OPT or your Capcap, check with your DSO. I don't remember the rules about the Capcap. I don't know if you can travel during Capcap, but it's there in the ICE frequently asked questions. There are too many variables. And I also believe if you go to our website, immigration.com, and you go to the very top gray bar, it says Rajiv's blogs. Go to my blogs, and about the 15th or 16th entry is about travel during H1B process. Travel during H1B process. When students apply for H1B or when they apply for OPT, at what stage they can travel, at what stage they cannot. I actually sat down and drew a mind map that explains the whole process. I think that information is there. And if it isn't, we'll see you in 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah. We and next time I'll like have all these websites ready so that I can share
Yeah,
it while you're saying it.
yeah.
That was a good question. Please, Oh, this one. Okay. My parents have a B1, B2 visa. Can I get B1, B2 visa from them? I recently rejected under 213B.
I don't know what 213B is. I think you're talking about
21.
214B.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was doing.
214B is basically, we think, Rehan, you are going to become an immigrant in the United States. So, your answer, can you somehow take advantage of their B1, B2? The answer is no. The 214B denials are unpredictable. Some people are able to overcome them in a subsequent entry, some people are not. So, to answer your question, parents B1, B2, I don't see any advantage.
Right. Saurav is saying recently I had an offer from US company from India, but unlucky at H1b. Can I still go for F1
Yeah,
interview?
absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. Vedant is saying I have 1.5 years employment gap when I will appear to for F1 visa interview for fall 2020. So can that gap pose any problem for acceptance?
Well, if you went to the Himalayas to meditate for a year and a half, or if you had some personal difficulty, these are acceptable um, activities. If you have a reason and they come up and they ask you why do you have a gap, they probably won't. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's much more important to know who you are and are you a serious student. So my answer, I don't think it should be a problem, but make sure you have a truthful and appropriate explanation for it.
Very interesting question. I applied for Lincoln University in this my first time for summer, so that I applied. So I live in Istanbul. So if I reject it, so can I apply again this year or not? I'm not Indian.
Okay, I'm not sure, Mr. or Miss Khan, I understand the question.
Yeah.
Applied for Lincoln University in this is my first time for summer. Also, you're going to the summer session. So I live in Istanbul. If I get rejected, can I apply again? So remember, this is a local rule. This rule about repeat applications, this is a local rule in India. It won't apply in other countries unless those consulates want to. So probably you could.
Yeah. Okay. My passport is sent to VFS for renewal, and I got mail's email to send an additional document and should be notarized, but I do not have any proof of ID. Any suggestion how to get notarization?
I do not know. You should have a driver's license or Aadhaar card, or you need some kind of an identification. In USA, you can get IDs which are not driver's licenses. So I don't know what the situation in your country is. I don't know where you are. So, but you will need some identification so that your form can be notarized.
Yeah. My father's brother is a citizen here. Will it help me in any ways going forward from F1 status?
Not forward from F1, no, it will not.
All right. Few questions again about latest news on F1 visa. We talked about it in the very beginning of the session, so go back and watch that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. My last name column is empty in passport. Given name is Shubham Kumar. My I-20 name is Shubham as first name and last name as Kumar. Should I apply for the new passport now in USA?
If you can, you should, because ultimately you want consistency in our paperwork. Okay. These kind of problems are quite common. The government is also aware of them. It's not something you should lose sleep over, Shubham. So sleep peacefully. It'll get sorted out. And for everybody listening, you can also do something more formal. You can actually call the local courts wherever you're located, typically the district court, and say, I want to do a name change. You don't need a lawyer for the process. They'll send you some forms or download some forms. uh, Follow the procedure, and your name can be legally changed. You can then take that and change all your forms, and I believe also change your passport. But before you do any of that, check with the Indian consulate or their information how to change your name in the passport. For now, you're okay. Um, should you apply for a new passport? If you can, do so.
Okay. Does having two vendors in between employer and client create issues in H1B stamping interview?
Yeah, it can, because the more remote your employment and your client placement is, one, two, three. Actually, we got an approval for somebody when there were six parties in between. The end client was BMW.
Can you give
So,
me example? What does he mean?
so, so let's say this, Yudi, you are in the business of technology consulting.
Mm-hmm.
We have an employee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also in the business of technology consulting. And you call me, say, Rajiv, do you have somebody who can do SAP implementation?
Mm.
I said, sure, I can spare, I don't know, Sairam.
Yeah.
Sairam is hanging out. He's not doing anything except
Yeah.
riding his scooter or motorcycle. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you then take our employee from on a corporation to corporation basis, and you
Right.
place them at your client. So that's
Okay.
what you
Got
see.
it. Got it. Got
So
it.
the more parties there are, the more difficult it can be. But like I told you, we had one where there were six vendors in between.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Got it. File EB1B AOS on what is AOS?
Adjustment of status.
Adjustment of status on 14th Feb 2022. Not sure all the
Yeah,
dates.
it could hold, because what the government is trying to do is they are trying to approve as many green cards as they can within this fiscal year, Praneeth. So hopefully, fingers crossed for you, you might even have a green card before September. Everybody else will hate you, but we congratulate you.
uh, cool. Can someone work 3, 4 part-time jobs on post-completion OPT voluntarily and getting designation as
Yeah.
author and co-authors in the publication? And after that, planning for O1A, then EB1A
It's
visa.
not that easy to get O1 EB1. It's a tough category to get into. But let's address the question that can be addressed. Can you work multiple part-time jobs on your first year OPT? Yes, you can. Make sure you can document at least 20 hours per week of
But
work.
he's saying post-completion OPT.
Yeah, post-completion OPT is OPT.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can have pre-completion OPT. You can have optional practical training while you're still in school.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Mm.
Cool. So yeah, you can. Yeah. But is it only first year or even in the extension he can do multiple jobs?
It gets more complicated. If you're doing during STEM extension, you have to go to your DSO, explain the situation, and each one of the employers will then have to go through the whatever that 813 or 831, whatever that
Mm,
form is, that process.
mm, okay. Is it a good decision to apply for EB3 unskilled category while on F1 visa?
Yeah, if you are not born in India, definitely. Remember, EB3 category includes people who are not unskilled but skilled worker. Unskilled, I think, takes many years.
Mm,
Skilled worker is simply somebody who has a degree, bachelor's degree, or 2 years of experience.
mm,
And that's EB3 category.
that's cool. Okay. Got into university in Dallas, but my uncle live in Dallas and he's a citizen there. I'm rejected for visitor's visa when 10 years ago when I was 12. Will this affect now getting a chance?
No, Bhavan, I think it was too long ago. Hopefully, you are in a better place now, but I can't predict the outcome. But a denial 10 years ago should not be something you need to worry about right now. I hope not.
Mm.
12-year-old kid, why would they reject a visa? That's stupid.
Can I extend F1 for pursuing MBA after 5 years?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I think that we answered that. Okay. F1 in 2012, CPT 2013 to 2014, H1B picked during CPT in 2014 but lost jobs in 2015. Initial H1B was used only for 1 year and was still 2017. Can it be transferred to new employer and used
Yeah,
2 and 3
you can.
years?
So I don't know
Wow.
your exact situation, but if you have used only 1 year of your H1B, you still have 5 years remaining.
That's a pretty complicated history over there.
No, it's not complicated. The basic law is very simple.
I love you. This is so awesome.
No, you have to focus on what is important, right? You can't get bogged down with all the minutia. It's the details are unnecessary. What is the bottom line? I consumed 1 year of my H1B. Can I get back my 5 years? Absolutely.
Mm, mm. Thanks in advance. You're welcome. I use my aunt's husband as my sponsor because he work in
Hang on. That's your uncle, okay? So aunt's husband is still uncle. You can just say my uncle. He
uh,
works in UNICEF.
and my father also put 25K in my bank account so I can use my aunt's husband as a sponsor.
You don't necessarily need a sponsor, Mr. or Miss Khan. I don't know where the word sponsor comes from. As long as you have the money, that's what you need.
I think who's funding your education
Yeah.
usually that's yeah.
And if you should tell the truth, whatever the truth is, whatever the source of the funds is, you should tell the truth. As long as the money is not coming from illegal activity, you should have no problem.
Yeah. Is there any impact on Canadian PR visa in case H1B extension was
No,
rejected?
no. If the extension is not rejected for fraud, etc., you have no problem.
Mm, okay. Looking for I- for a green card, what tax related documents do you need? There is a form 8843 which is used for.
Oh, stop right there. My eyes are glazing over. No idea about taxes, my friends. Talk with a CPA. You can even call IRS hotline. They actually give good answers.
All right, cool. I'm a F1 student. Can I work two jobs? One of 40 hours a week and my college assistant job 20 hours a week with CPT over the summer.
You have to check with the school.
It's a little like 60 hours a week.
Well,
Nice.
60 hours is okay, but it's not the hours. I don't know what the school allows, what their rules are.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me, if like I could do 40 hours in during the summer because we didn't have any classes, but
Right.
yeah.
So here it is curricular practical training. He's getting credits for the work he does. The work has to be in the same area in which he's getting his degree. It can't be a totally unrelated job. But what the rules of the CPT grant locally are in the school, they might have
Mm,
local flavors. I have seen that happen. I don't know how far that is appropriate, but it is there.
okay. I'm Ravi Kumar UK came UK as a dependent with my wife, who is a student of level 7. According to the law, I'm allowed to work full time, but they are not allowed.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what level 7 means.
I, it,
And
I think he is he talking about UK law?
yeah, it probably, we are only talking about the United States law, Ravi.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about UK law. You definitely don't want my advice or any other law. I mean, I can
Yeah.
only talk about that.
Decided to go for my master's in Stevens at New Jersey. Currently working remotely at a company in my country with a client located at New Jersey. Will this affect my visa?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. If I go for master's, get a job, and then get an H1B. Now, if I want to do MBA or PhD, what do I need to do? Will my visa status be changed to F1 visa again?
Okay, you have two choices. If you want to continue working and go to school simultaneously, you can do it on H1B. But if you want to quit your job and go full time into student status, then you have to apply for student status. You have to
Mhm.
go back to F1 status or J1, whatever status you is
Yeah.
appropriate.
Okay. Thank you for doing session. I'm on F1 visa since May 2015. Right now, I'm on OPT extension. Do you suggest travel to India to renew F1 visa by drop off services?
I'm always reluctant to tell people to travel outside the US if they don't have to.
Okay. Mita is asking DS 160, is it editable for 30 days from the day we start filling it out or from the day
So
we submit?
I have no idea. It's on the form. It's also in their frequently asked questions, Mitaji. I
Yeah.
don't know.
How strictly is job through CPT OPT must be related to major of
Very
study
strict.
enforced?
Very strict.
I mean, can you apply for a job in a different field related to my master's? Unrelated. Mm,
No, you can't. It has to be related.
yeah. Okay. Can you give tips on how to win EB1A apart from publishing a book and being a member of an editorial board?
I cannot. We have some presentations on that.
Yeah.
Um, Yudi,
Gotham.
you
Yeah.
might have that.
Yes. There's
You
a
can,
video. Just go and search on my channel EB1A and you
yeah,
should
we,
find
we
it.
did a fairly lengthy conversation on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Can Perm and I-140 be filed as a future employment?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Keep going. Not your question. So basically, I'm not working for the employer, but they are filing for me. Sure. As long as you're not paying for it, and as long as it's not a sham, absolutely okay.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Does any single can travel back to India and get married and bring the wife husband during OPT period before getting H1B?
They can. There's no law that stops them. But why would you want to do that? Do it after you get your H1B. It's so much easier.
Because if they get it while on OPT, they come on F2 and then they
Yeah.
have to convert it into
So if you
H4
go
again.
on H1, if you go, you get your H1B, she gets her H4.
Yeah.
That's not easy to deny. You can't get H4 denied. F2 is easy to deny.
Yeah.
But you can always do it both ways. You can try F2 first if it doesn't work out. Go back, get your H1B, and then get her H4 and your H1B.
Yeah. Okay. My father is not working anymore. He receives pension. My sister will be the primary sponsor, again, funding the education. As I also have a sanctioned education loan, will my father's status
No, I
pose
don't.
any issue?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My sister went for her master's degree in spring 2022, and I'm going for fall 2022. And is there anything I should be prepared when it comes to F1 visa interview?
Very easy to prepare for a visa interview. Always tell the truth.
Yeah. So don't lie about your sister if they ask you.
Tell the truth.
Yeah. Right. Oh, follow up. I completed my master's in 2021. Commencement in May for me and my sister already in the US. In India since 2015. Can I get B1 B2 expedited? Will it jeopardize my pause existing H1B?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand. There's too much information there, but not enough logic. Let's just make sure we understand. You completed your MS in 2021. I believe that is in India, so I don't know if it's in India or USA. Can I
Hmm.
get? I'm in India since 2015. So okay, you are in India. Can I get B1 B2? He wants to take B1 B2. Will it jeopardize my paused existing H1B? Oh, no, no, I got that. So he used to have an H1B, then he went to India.
Yeah,
If
he's
he
the
gets
guy who sent all the plus this whole history and
yeah, so if he gets a B1, B2, would that affect his H1B eligibility? The answer is no. It should not affect anything about your H1B eligibility. Um, there was something else in there. Can you get it expedited? I don't know the answer to that. Very unlikely that you can get in B1, B2 expedited.
yeah. Okay, if last question, if my STEM OPT expires on February 7, 2024, am I eligible for H1B lottery 2024 by Capcap? I can
Okay,
be in US
so
for
Feb 7th to March 7th to April 7th, approximately, you would not be entitled to Capcap extension, but you are entitled to stay in the United States if you get selected in the lottery and you file your application before March 7th, or actually 60 days from when your OPT expires. So you can stay, but you cannot work.
Hmm. All right, we'll end the session with this comment. Parvez, thank you. Just happy to be here. Thanks for doing this.
Nice shades, dude. Looking good.
All right. Thank you, Rajiv ji, and thank you everybody. Join us again in the next Thursday session. We'll talk to you guys soon. All right.
Take care, everyone. Be
Yep.
safe, guys. Have
Bye.
lots of fun. Don't worry too much about anything.
Yes. Bye.